Ladies, gentlemen, and others, welcome to Take Me Out to the Podcast, presented by HTFN. I am your host, Johnny Jackson, and today I have the absolute pleasure of speaking with the incredible MLB content creator, Dawson Wright. How are you doing today, Dawson?
I'm doing pretty good. I lost a game of Fungo Golf this morning, but I'm doing pretty good.
How bad was it?
I only lost by 2. It wasn't too bad.
That's not terrible.
Yeah.
Dawson's storytelling is truly second to none, and in his latest video, he selected the Dodgers, Braves, Yankees, Padres, and Blue Jays as the most likely candidates to become the next MLB Dynasty. Where did this video idea come from?
I just sort of every once in a while I'll just have like a brainstorming session, and I was thinking a lot about a lot of the younger teams and what I was trying to do with that. So I was like, I wonder who the next dynasty is going to be, because we had the Giants in the 2010s. A lot of people say dynasties are sort of going away in baseball. I don't really think so. If you have the right core and you have a little bit of luck, then you're golden. But I was thinking, I wonder who's going to be next. So I thought it would be a pretty good video idea. So I just kind of rolled with it. Yeah.
And do you think that the lack of a salary cap leads to, I guess, easier dynasty creation in the MLB than other professional sports leagues?
I'd say it helps, but honestly, baseball is just such a random sport. I remember there was this one study where it was saying what sports is the most random, where random things can happen. Basketball is the most skill based. It's pretty easy to predict basketball, but baseball is so unpredictable. You could have the best team out there, and then you'll just get beat by the Tigers, who are over 500 right now. So it's really random. I would say, I'm one of the people that says baseball doesn't really need a salary cap, just because, you have the luxury tax in place, so you're usually fine with it.
Yeah. So in August of 2018, almost exactly 2 years ago, you put out a video titled "Why Bryce Harper Leaving is Great for the Nationals." And the very next year, 2019, Harper left on the mega deal with the Phillies, and the Nats won the World Series. Do you consider that your greatest prediction so far?
That might be my best, just because when I first posted that video, I got a lot of pushback. A lot of people were like, "Oh, they aren't very good." But at the beginning of last year, it was DraftNet Mark, who's another YouTuber. I predicted Nationals Yankees World Series at the beginning of the year, which close enough. I'll take it.
Yeah.
In 2017, I predicted the Astros to win the World Series as soon as they traded for Verlander. They might have needed a little bit of help, but they still won it. But I'd probably say that's my favorite right now. I would say probably.
Yeah, I'm a Dodgers fan, so watching the 2017 World Series hurt because I thought we definitely had a chance and we should have won.
Yeah.
And 2018, I didn't think we were going to win in 2018. I just kind of hoped we'd get it to six or 7 games, but it was just 2 completely different.
Yeah, Red Sox really fell off a cliff after 2018, but it's the cost of winning the World Series. They had to get all those big names on board.
That's the Dave Dombrowski method, and it worked.
Yeah, as long as you get a ring, nothing else really matters, does it?
No, and then as soon as they won, they kicked him to the curb. Brought in Chaim Bloom, who's hopefully gonna make them a better contender in the years to come.
Yeah, they're gonna have to turn around that farm system.
Yeah, they got Verdugo and Jeter Downs. Now Connor Wong. Wong's kind of fringy, but Verdugo's off to a great start.
Yeah, Verdugo looks good.
It just sucks that they have 1, maybe 2 starting pitchers on that roster.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of Tank for Kumar?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we could tank that hard right now. I usually like my team to be somewhat competitive. If we could get Kumar, that'd be great. Leiter could be the first pick. Which we'll see. It really, a lot of it depends on next season. But if Kumar looks as good as he did last year, I would have Kumar number 1 going to the Pirates, is who it looks like is going to get the number 1 pick next year right now.
So how do you choose the music that you put into your videos? It's a lot of like different genres and different creators. I mean, is there a specific, like based on mood or just whatever you're feeling?
Well, usually, like what I'll use for background music, it really depends on the topic for a video. Like if it's something more, if it's more of a story or something more, I don't know, sad, I guess. Um, I'll use more like a deeper sort of thing. But if it's just like a regular video where I'm talking about something, I'll just I'll find some beats that I can use and not get copyrighted for. And then for outro music, the guy that does my outro music, I'm actually friends with. We used to be teammates, so I like using his music, and he gets some promotion for it. So
That's awesome. January, you made a video and collaborated with Foolish Baseball based on Mark Craig's article on The Athletic detailing the $750 million 18 and under Team USA team. Why did you choose that article specifically to make that video?
That was when I had my deal with The Athletic. I just signed a new deal with them, so I have some more athletic videos coming up. But that article is really something that stuck out to me. And Foolish Baseball, he was also working with The Athletic at the time. I was like, oh, it'd be a perfect time to do this collab. That's probably one of my favorite videos I've ever made, because like no idea that any of that even happened, and neither did a lot of people. And I was thinking, I was like, this should be shared. More people should know about this, because how crazy this team was. Like Christian Yelich couldn't even make the team because he just Christian Yelich couldn't make the team. He wasn't good enough. Like that's how insane this was. You had the whole thing where their drinks might have been spiked before the game. It's such an insane story. I wish that someone would eventually make a movie out of it. I think a movie of that would be absolutely fantastic.
So you've done a significant number of videos on a lot of highly touted prospects, even some college baseball stuff. I guess how much information do you consume on like prospects and college versus the MLB?
I would say, like, I really don't read about college baseball. It's such a shame because, like, college baseball is barely covered at all. And, like, I would be making college baseball videos, but I don't want to have any issues with the NCAA. But, like, I would say, like, everything I get from college is really just from watching the games. NCAA tournament's a big help. If someone really goes off in the NCAA tournament, then they're probably going to go pretty crazy. I usually try to keep up with at least some of the top guys, and then some guys that are local here in California or around here, like Nick Gonzalez from New Mexico State. I thought he was an amazing pick for the Pirates, and he probably should have gone a little higher. But yeah, it's a shame because I wish college baseball was cared about more. Like that's probably one of my biggest gripes with the industry right now. Like, can you imagine if college baseball was anywhere near like levels of college football or basketball? Like it would be huge for the sport. But the problem is, you draft a guy, and instead of that instant excitement of him making an impact on your team, you see him in 4 years, 3-4 years if you're lucky.
Yeah.
You may never see him again. But as MLB sort of moves towards, getting rid of the lower level minors, like what I think is going on is I think they're trying to bridge that gap. I think it's possible that we eventually see only AA and AAA and MLB, and single A is going to be soon too, which should be huge. But if they could work on bridging that gap though as well, it could also help college baseball out. So could be a good thing in the long run. We'll have to see.
Do you think that drastic change in level of competition between college and even like single A, double A professional baseball, do you think that might be really hard on those kids coming in?
Yeah, it will. There's some that handle it better than others. It really depends on their development path. A lot of it is coaching. Like coaching at lower levels should be one of the most like invested things. It's so important as soon as those kids come out of high school and college to just get the proper coaching so they can try and get up there as fast as they can. We'll see it every once in a while with the high school kid who will go up at 20 or 19. like Harper did, or international prospects go. A lot of them go up really fast. They got to work on bridging that gap if that's where they're headed towards, getting rid of lower level minors, which will all be gone by next year.
I was watching a little bit of your videos just to prep for this earlier, and you do have a decent amount of references to the NBA and the NFL in your videos. Have you thought about maybe producing some content on that on your main channel or maybe a second channel?
Yeah, I have before. It's just the reason I started making MLB videos is, I started out as a gaming channel, and this baseball channel was supposed to be my second channel. That was the original plan. And then, because I noticed, I was like, there's not really, like, at the time, this is 2017, so this is 3 years ago, there was, like, nobody really talking about MLB on YouTube. Like there were some videos here and there, but no, like, consistent MLB coverage. So I'm like, okay, I'll start, doing it. I'll give it a shot. And then things sort of took off on this channel. So I guess I just gave up gaming. I was going to talk about basketball a lot, but that's just sort of, it's where things take me, but I'm glad to be where I am now. And I've thought about possibly doing, NBA, NFL, and even NHL videos. But at this point, I think I'm just going to stick to baseball for now.
It's definitely working out for you so far.
Yeah, there's a strike. I might have to move over to something for an off season, but we'll see.
What do you think the likelihood of a strike is?
I'd say things are better now. Weirdly, after this, I feel like players really don't, after this whole thing, a lot of people think labor tensions are getting worse, which they might be, but I think this just showed how much, players want to play. And, it'd have to be something where the owners are just like hard capped on something that the players don't want for there to be a strike. So by the next CBA proposal, which I believe is 2021.
Yeah. After next season.
Yeah. I'd say things will probably be fine. I'm not expecting a strike. If there is one, I'd say there's probably like a 15 to 20% chance at most that a strike happens right now. We'll see how things play out for the rest of the year, because things can go sideways really fast.
How is maybe a failure or an apparent failure set you up for a future success? And do you maybe have a favorite failure of yours?
Well, I've had a few videos where, YouTube algorithm is very weird, and it's almost sort of random in a way. So all the videos that I think will do amazing, and then they don't, do as good as I hoped, which I'm like, okay. But I remember my most popular video, it's the Blaze Jordan video where I talked about him when he was 13 and he hit those 500-foot homers in a tournament, in a home run derby thing. And I was like, oh, I'll do this quick. Like, that's probably the video I put the least effort into. And so after the first month, I think I was averaging like, I don't know, 15,000 views at the time or something. After the first month, it got like 5,000 views. I'm like, okay, well, that flopped. I guess I won't really cover stuff like that ever again. And then the thing just sort of like took off. And like, I wasn't really even paying attention to it. Like a month later, it had like 400,000, 500,000. Then, it crossed over 1 million a few months ago. I was like, this is really bizarre. But really what I think about now is, I've sort of realized, and a lot of YouTubers, this is something that they'll realize, is, you can't really control what's going to do good. Like, you can have a video that you think is your best video, and then it'll perform like one of your worst. So I just kind of think of what I think would be a good topic to cover, what I think will be a good video, and then just sort of let the algorithm do its thing. If it flops, it flops. Oh, well, part of it's dependent on the time of year and what happens after you upload it. But like, if it flops, I just kind of just put it in the rear view and keep on moving.
Is that something you've developed over the last year or so, 2 or 3 years?
Oh yeah. Like, I remember, like a year and a half ago or something, like if I had a video, flop, and I get really kind of mad at myself. I'd be like, why isn't this performing well? I got to change what I'm doing, all that kind of stuff. Which sometimes it can be useful though, because it can be sort of a wake up call. Like if I'm not putting the same effort in that I used to, or whatever it may be. But now I've sort of realized that. Like I remember there was a period where it was almost like all the baseball YouTubers, like when the season got shut down first, like when we make videos, they wouldn't be recommended to anyone. And so like a lot of good videos were just flop, and they're still out there. So, go ahead and look for them. But there was a lot of videos that would just flop, and that like for everybody that are good videos. And I was like, dang, that's tough, but I guess that's just how the current climate is. You can't really predict anything. So yeah, it's more about just, I don't know, just doing the best you feel you can do and just being okay with that.
What do you think your most underrated video is?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I might have to look. There's a few that probably come to mind. I did make a Pete Rose video during that time where, videos weren't being recommended to people. I would say there's this one video that it did okay. I wish it got a little more attention though, because I like to talk about it. I believe it was called like MLB's young stars are being robbed, and it's time to do something about it.
Oh, yeah, the one we said Juan Soto's contract was the worst in baseball.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because like I'm scared now because people are like, oh, they get paid, when they reach free agency. That's when they get overpaid, which I'm worried now that we're moving to a point, you've seen it already. Like, because if we were trending in the same direction, Mike Trout would have gotten paid over $500 million. But we're moving in a direction where front offices are realizing, hey, I don't want to pay a player, $40 million when he's 30 years old. So if players reach the free agent market when they're 30 or later, like they're not going to get the money that they earned. Like they just aren't. So if free agents have to hit the market, when they're 26, 27, 28, those are the ones that are, going to get paid the big cash, unless you're Garrett Cole. I think Garrett Cole's like 30. Yeah. But, their pitchers are usually pretty okay for their first few years. But I'm worried we're moving in a direction where they won't be paid, what they should be. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's millionaires, who cares? I'm like, well, I'd rather the players have it than some of the owners. Like if that's what they worked their entire lives for, they deserve that money if they're playing at that high of a level. So, because that's where the money is. But I'm just worried about that. That's something I'd say that video is almost before its time. It could be something, we're discussing later in the 2020s, but that's one of my concerns.
Yeah, I mean, that might help you guys out with Mike Yastrzemski. I mean, he's really good, and he's like almost 30 already, I think, right?
He's 29.
29? Yeah, he's going to be 32, 33 by free agency. I mean.
Yeah, which, that's going to suck for him because he's still on his rookie deal, so I think he's still like a year or two away from arbitration, so that's just how it's going to be for some guys. If you don't hit free agency early enough, then oh well.
Do you think the players in the next CBA are going to try and lobby for earlier free agency?
I was actually thinking of talking about that in a video coming up, but I'm okay with sharing it here. I'd say they could move to a new system, so players don't get their service time abused, like what happened with Vlad, and I think it happened to Jimenez too, and Alonso. But like, just so it's kind of messed up how it is now. It's like a couple hundred days into the season, then it won't count as a year. But if you wait like a month or two, then it won't count. But they really need to do something with that. You know, I could see something like the NHL does, where I believe like it's like if you're 27, you know, you're automatic free agent, or if you reach your 7th year in the NHL, then you're automatically a free agent. Something like that I could see is probably the best workaround to this. So it's like as soon as you hit your first pro contract, that's when the timer starts. So it's really about getting, you know, those young guys up as soon as they can, so then they could hit free agency eventually.
Yeah, and we saw Marcus Stroman play that game the other way too. Stayed on the IL for just enough days to be able to elect free agency at the end of the year. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, he's earned it. I I kind of feel bad for the Mets because they got 11 games of Marcus Stroman for Anthony Kay, and they're just. I mean, hey, they made the trade, and yeah, it's really uncertain now. I do get kind of upset with people who get mad at players that opt out, like when Posey opted out. I saw some Giants fans were like mad at him and like calling him a traitor. I'm like he just adopted 2 kids.
Posey's
you know,
a statue in that city.
Yeah, he does. Honestly, like I'm like, why are you mad at him? like he's done so much, you know, for the Giants. I'm like, yeah, it's okay. It's a weird 2020 season. If a player wants to opt out because they don't feel comfortable playing, I don't care who it is. Like if Mike Yastrzemski wanted to opt out, you know, today, I'd be like, yeah, you know, go for it. Because it's really, you know, now they have the thing where players can't get out of the team hotels when they're on the road because some players ruined it for them. But
very poor decision making by a couple of guys.
Yeah, but you know, if players want to opt out, it's their decision. They aren't getting paid anymore. It's fine. Like, I don't understand that, but
I feel like you get into like a black hole of some Twitter and YouTube comments where it's like they're gonna get all this money and not play. It's like, well, they're not getting paid.
Oh my gosh.
Out.
Yeah. Anytime like a YouTube video, you know, reaches, you know, more of a casual audience, or just more people in general, you'll get some interesting comments. You get some interesting comments. Like I remember there was some guy that commented because I said in a video recently, I'm like, oh, pitching wins don't matter, and he was like, what do you mean pitching wins don't matter? And I'm like, it's like, oh, this idiot just say pitching wins don't matter. I'm like, yes, I did.
I think I remember seeing that on your Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like pitching wins in 2020. I think I was talking about like Aaron Sanchez in like 2017. But yeah, I was like, you'll see some interesting things.
Yeah. I mean, what are some of like the, I guess, like best in the other way, like best comments you've received that are like just really good and like wholesome?
Oh, my favorite comments, like I love seeing it. I'll usually get like one or two of these every once in a while. Is like I've had some people say, like, oh, you know, I'm like an older fan. You know, you get it from like these guys that are like 50 or something, and they'll say like, I'm an older fan, or you get it from a young kid. I'll be like, oh, your videos got me into watching baseball, or oh, your videos got me back into baseball. And like that's probably like my favorite thing, just to know that, you know, through my videos or even someone else's videos that, you know, we're bringing fans back to the sport. You know, that's why it's really good now, because MLB is themselves have been promoting of YouTubers. Will do I don't know if they have them this year. I don't think they do because of the weird season, but they'll bring us in for the live games on YouTube to like talk with people. And when stuff like that happens, you know, it's one of my favorite feelings, just to know that.
Do you feel like MLB and maybe the content creators have, I don't know if like this is the right word, but maybe a like responsibility to try and grow the game through their content?
I don't know if I'd use responsibility. I would say, I don't know, probably just bring awareness to the sport, because they lack so much national media coverage, and baseball now isn't a part of American culture as much as it used to be. And that's a shame. We're trying to get there. I can only do as much as I can, unless MLB wants to hire me. We'll see in a few years. But yeah, we all try to do as much as we can to grow the game, because it helps us out. And I want to see sellout crowds everywhere. I want to see MLB getting good TV ratings. I want to see players being recognized. I still have some friends who don't know who Mike Trout is. It makes me a little sad, but yeah, just trying to raise awareness for the sport, I suppose.
So you mentioned MLB hiring you. Is there a job that could take you off of YouTube?
Well, let's see. Right now, I'm a sophomore in college. I'm a sports management major, and I'm looking for working for an MLB team, NFL, NBA. We'll see where I go. I'm not really sure yet. I could end up, working for a college baseball program. I'm not really sure yet. I don't know if I'm ever going to do YouTube full time. We'll see down the line. But right now, I would say, there's a commissioner job, just let me take that. But, if I were to start working for an MLB team, I'm sure I'd probably have to leave YouTube for, at least a little bit. If I work there the rest of my life, I guess I'll leave YouTube forever. But I suppose, if I work in the minors or if I work in college, I could still do YouTube as something on the side, which is something I'd want to do. But I don't think I could ever pass up an opportunity to go work for a pro team, which is what I'm working towards.
So is that like your dream job, I guess, working for a pro team?
Yeah, if I could work in a front office, that'd be great. I'd take that for sure. But I've also considered, possibly working for the league and media, working for college. Working for college would be really fun, like a director of baseball ops job. But we'll see. I don't know. It's a lot of uncertainties right now, because if there's any other sports management majors out there, they know how broad the field is. So like you can do everything from managing a facility to running events to working for a front office. So who knows what the next few years are going to hold.
So what's one of the best or most worthwhile investments that you've ever made? It can be like time, money, energy, anything really.
My best, well, I would say my best investment's my computer, because I used to have this super, slow computer. But now I can edit pretty fast. But I would say probably one of my favorite videos that just took me forever. Like I was working on this for at least like three weeks at least, was at the time it was my longest video, the Mookie Betts video.
Yeah.
Which I just want to preface, if anyone sees it again, because I called the trade a disaster, and a lot of people get confused because they don't watch the video. They just read the title and the comments. I wasn't talking about, the move itself, because at the end I was like, oh, it's a good trade for the Dodgers. Twins get Maeda, and then, the Red Sox get Verdugo and get Betts off the books so they can try and stay under lottery tats, right? It's fine. I was discussing the process that was to get there, because you had all these rumors and stuff like, oh, Mookie Betts has been traded. Oh, no, he hasn't yet. It's going to take like 2 weeks for this thing to go through because they're still trying to work it out.
Social media put it out, and they put the Angels trade out. Like,
yeah. Yeah, the Jock Peterson trade too. I forgot about that. That made me
so sad.
Like it was such a process. It looked so bad for everyone involved, which is what I was talking about. But yeah, it's okay, because like that video took off as soon as it happened. It was, but I thought, even if it didn't do well, like I think it's one of my better videos. So I'm glad that it, got the eyes I thought it deserved.
What percentage of people do you think comment before actually watching the video?
Oh, a lot of them. A lot, a lot of them. Yeah, I will get comments of like, like as soon as I post a video, all of my, my notification squad, bless them, like that they'll say like, oh, good video. Like, it's like a 17-minute video that I posted like 30 seconds ago. Like, oh, good video. But hey, thanks for the support. But yeah, it really depends on like the title of the video and how, I guess, controversial it is. Because if I get a video where some people will see the thumbnail or they'll see the title and they'll comment immediately, watch like 2 minutes of it and leave, and then the comments like has nothing to do with what I was talking about. But that's just how YouTube is. It's a part of the job.
So since you started YouTube and obviously built up a pretty good following for yourself, what's a new belief, behavior, or habit that's most improved your life and like the quality of life?
I would say I've gotten a lot better at planning out videos, because which really helps with my self-esteem and sort of not feeling awful. Because there was a time like a year or two ago, it was like right after I graduated high school, where I would just feel like awful after I uploaded a video, because I would work on it for like 4 days nonstop. I'd write for one day, record and edit, and then like I would just wake up, edit, sleep, release it. And it put me in a really bad spot. I just had a lot going on at the time, so I couldn't upload as much as I wanted to. And like even when I did upload, I had to like push out these videos in a really short time frame. But now I'll give myself like a week or two to, like plan it out, what I'm going to do, write it out and produce it. And that really helps, because I still have the days, or I guess almost every time, where I'm editing till 3 a.m. because
Yeah.
I'm pushing a deadline. But, it's better because I'd rather do that than have to wake up at 7 and then edit till 2 a.m. So, I mean, I've gotten used to it, but yeah, that really helped.
So would you say like the editing is like your least favorite part of making the YouTube videos?
I don't know. There's some videos that are more fun to edit than others. Like there's some where writing it is a process and it takes me a while. Like there's some days where I'll just get writer's block and I'll be able to write like a paragraph and like nothing else. And then there's other days where I'll write like, 4 pages in like 20 minutes. But yeah, editing can be rough. There's some videos that are really fun to edit because I get to sort of get creative with it. If there's not a lot of like clips I can use or something, like the $750 million teens video. I remember I had to like edit someone like spiking a drink or something, and like stuff like that. It can be fun. I don't know. It's not like I would say editing is bad, but out of everything, I suppose it's my least favorite.
Yeah. So what do you kind of do to when you have those writer's block moments? Do you push yourself through it? Do you kind of go away and come back? Do you just kind of give up and start crying? Like what's the plan?
I really try to just sort of like work through it. There are some days where I'll just I'm just like, okay, I'll just get up, go have lunch, and come back and try to figure this out. There's some days where it gets really bad and I can literally only write a paragraph. I'll sit at my computer for 5 hours and write one paragraph, which it happens, but then the next day it's usually gone. It's usually not that big of an issue. I usually give myself like 2 to 3 days to write a full video. So in case that happens, then I can, have a buffer for it. It really depends on the day. I don't know why it's so random. It just is.
Well, Dawson, I don't want to keep you here all day, so I'm gonna let you get going. But just for the last question,
okay,
if you could sit down with anyone, alive or dead, for 30 or 40 minutes, have a conversation like what we did today, who would it be?
Oh, that's hard. Oh, that's really hard. I might have to go with Willie Mays. Like I love me some Willie Mays. It'd probably either be like Willie Mays, Babe Ruth, or like Juan Marichal.
Yeah.
But I'd probably have to go with Willie Mays. Just say hey kid. Yeah, I would love to talk to him. If I can even meet him, in person, that'd be great. But now we got all this, so I guess I'll have to put that on hold. I'll have to ask the Giants. Hey Giants, can I meet Willie Mays? It's rough.
Well, Dawson, thank you so much for speaking with me today, especially for this long. And everyone, stay tuned for a very special HTFN debut from the one, the only, Hannah Russo, coming right up.
Be a Saints fan right now.
Dude,
I'd be so
Guys,
mad.
I can't believe that ridiculous no call.
Bro, I'm puzzled. If they would have made that call, who do you think would have been in the Super Bowl? The Saints would have been the Super Bowl. Come on now.
The refs, they need to be punished.
Oh, hey guys. Did you see my missed call last week? Could have sent that team to the championship. I guess not.
I can't take this anymore.
What's up with this guy?
Welcome back to Take Me Out to the Podcast. I am now joined by Hannah Russo in her HTFN debut. How are you today, Hannah?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Hannah is a Yankees fan. And how have you experienced the 2020 MLB season?
I mean, it started off really well because they came out with a great opener against the Orioles, and they actually won. And we were doing well with Stanton and Judge both being able to play and not being injured. But within the last month, both of them got injured, as well as half of our starting lineup. So we've been experiencing a little bit of trouble.
Yeah. Yankees, last 2 years, it's been rough with the injuries. A lot of players in the IL.
It has.
Your pitching staff wasn't very deep to begin with on the starting side, and it's just killed the momentum for your team.
Yeah, Garrett Cole started out the season strong, but he's succumbed to the pressure and he's not doing very well.
Yeah. All right, let's just get straight into it. After hitting a homer to tie the game at 1-1 in the sixth inning off of Clayton Kershaw on Monday, Trent Grisham bat flipped and pimped a homer, talking trash to the Dodgers dugout as he rounded third base. Did Trent Grisham cross the line of excessive celebration, or should we just let the kids play?
Honestly, I think just let him play. He said that it was one of his biggest hits, especially off of a pitcher of that pedigree. So he was just celebrating, and he might have just gotten caught up in the moment. Every athlete has that moment. So just let him have it and then move on.
Yeah, I'm a huge Dodgers fan. Like, Clayton Kershaw is my favorite player of all time, and you saw it straight up in the press conference. Kershaw said, I don't care. He hit a home run. I don't care. If I don't want to see him bat flip, I just have to throw a better pitch. And that's, I think, is the best way to handle it.
Exactly. And his manager even agreed, saying that Grissom wasn't on the same pedigree as he was.
Yeah, and then Clayton Kershaw is one of the best pitchers of the generation. Like, no doubt Hall of Famer. Like, if I hit a home run off of Clayton Kershaw, I'd probably do a backflip. Like, yeah. And another kind of weird story of the night, not something to expect, Alec Mills of the Cubs throws a no-hitter in just his 15th career start. He's got around a 4 ERA with some not great underlying metrics. He's got below average velocity, a low strikeout rate, a kind of middle of the pack walk rate. And his real main pitch is a breaking ball, which he can kind of maneuver between 65-ish miles an hour and like 80 miles an hour. He's topping out at like 91, 92. Not a guy you'd expect to throw a no-hitter. I mean, how much of the game do you watch, or how much of the highlights did you watch? What did you see from Alec Mills?
I watched some of the highlights, but I did more reading about how the game went. And one of the things that stood out to me is that critics and sports journalists called the game a 114 pitch gem, because he was just throwing soft tossing hurlers, and he was not necessarily living up to his nickname of Baby Hendricks after fellow teammate Kyle Hendricks, but he surpassed the reputation that Hendricks has, because Hendricks, and then his nickname is Baby Maddox after Hall of Famer Greg Maddux. neither of them have thrown no-hitters, which is something Alex Mills has done, surpassing both of them in their standings.
And how big do you think Alec Mills' no-hitter is for maybe guys who aren't looked on very highly? I mean, he's a 22nd rounder, college walk-on, wasn't even supposed to be in the rotation this year. And then Jose Quintana, sliced himself doing the dishes and now he's in the stage to throw a no-hitter. I mean, how big is that for guys who don't necessarily have that 100 miles an hour in the tank?
Oh, it was probably a huge game for him. I mean, he wasn't, compared to some other pitchers in the MLB, his fastest pitch was 91 miles an hour. So that's not very fast when you have some guys throwing 96.
Yeah, it's just incredible. 114 pitches, not that many, not quite a, 900 under 100 pitch Maddox, but I mean, how big is that for guys like Dallas Keuchel, Julio Teheran, even guys coming up, maybe guys who might not even get drafted, have to go in as undrafted free agents, guys who maybe only top out of that 92. How big is seeing a role model like Alec Mills for them?
Oh, it shows them that if they just keep working hard and that they're consistent with what they're doing, that they're going to get to where they want to be.
So Max Scherzer, one of the greatest pitchers of the generation, this year he has been horrendous, by his standards at least. 4.04 ERA, his worst walk rate since 2010. He's still striking out about a third of the batters he's facing, and that alone is just emblematic of how high his standard is. They were calling striking out one out of three guys you face is a terrible year for him. In his last start, gave up 6 earned runs in just above 5 innings, 9 hits and 2 walks to Atlanta, got 10 strikeouts. What are you seeing from Max Scherzer? Do you think he turns it around, or do you think this is finally father time catching up to him?
I definitely think it's father time catching up to him. One of the things I wrote down in my notes was that he's losing his momentum and he's becoming weaker. So batters are being able to walk up to the plate and read him better than they were previously. So he's becoming more reliable in what he's doing. Batters are expecting things from him and he's giving them what they're expecting.
Yeah, you can see that he's given up over a home run per 9 innings. I think it's 1.4 home runs per 9 innings. That by far the highest mark of his career. Do you think that's him maybe just not figuring out how to pitch with diminished stuff, or do you think it's just batters knowing the game plan?
Probably a little bit of both. I think after seeing how stuck he's been, batters are understanding what he's throwing. So they're hitting off of that and they're doing really well with it. But then again, Scherzer's also stuck. He's not throwing at the same momentum that he used to be throwing. And he's kind of in a pitcher's rut. He doesn't know where to go next. He needs to try something new.
So Max Scherzer's contemporary in a lot of ways, Justin Verlander, threw about 72 or so pitches on the side the other day in Houston. He's also one of these great elite pitchers, won the Cy Young last year, but he has not looked the same this year. Do you think that's maybe because of injuries? Do you think he's going to really come out strong, make a strong late push into the playoffs for the Astros? Or do you think he's going to also fall to father time?
He might surprise us and come out and show us what he can really do come playoff time with the Astros, because I mean there's only 4 games left in the regular season, so he's probably going to try to give it his all, but going into next season he might succumb to the father pressure of it all. It honestly depends on how he trains off season after this regular season is over.
And his velocity has been slowly declining over the past couple of years. Do you think that's a sign of more to come, or do you think he can really still pitch at a great level with that lower velocity?
I think we need to watch him more for sure, because if he is starting to pitch at a lower velocity, then he might be losing his momentum as well. But again, it might just all go back to training. Like with everything that has happened within the past year, they lost a lot of time on the field and in the gym. So this could just be the pressure of what the last 6 months have built up to.
Yeah, and the NL East is in such a hot competition. And Philly's first baseman, who's really started to pick it up lately, Rhys Hoskins, could potentially be out for the year with Tommy John surgery on his non-throwing arm. How big or how important is that in his health to the entire NL East?
I think it's really important because he's a slugger when he gets up to bat. And his injury happened late in the game on Saturday night, so it was probably a shock for him and his teammates. And now the Phillies are a little bit scattered trying to figure out who they want to put at first base. So they're looking at moving one of their third basemen to first base, and that third baseman right now is a rookie. So they don't know how he's going to react. They don't know what they're going to do with the rest of their players.
Yeah, and we saw MLB very recently announce the postseason schedule. So the division series is 5 games on back-to-back days. The wild card round, the first round, is 3 games back-to-back days. How big is that for a team like the Atlanta Braves or even the Yankees with a very shaky starting rotation?
Very nerve-wracking, that's for sure. Looking at their lineup from the past couple of days, I've been a little nervous, but it's not something that they haven't been able to work through and pull out a win from. Like, they've been faced with tougher situations that they could definitely make it, or this could be something that breaks them and they're just going to have to work harder to prove their name and prove their reputation come next season.
Are you worried about your bullpen being maybe a little overused in covering more innings than they're used to?
I think I'm starting to get worried because their manager keeps pulling out players that are picking up their momentum, increasing their adrenaline in the game and becoming more energized in what they're doing. And he's putting in guys that have just been playing bullpen all season. And he's not letting them finish their game and finish what they came out there to do and are just now getting into. Because if you look at Yankees history, they're known for not having momentum until about the 4th or 5th inning. And they're definitely living up to that this season.
Are you kind of getting, I guess, war flashbacks to last year where Aaron Boone kind of overused the bullpen in September and then they were kind of just gassed in October?
I definitely am.
Another thing about this playoff schedule is there's no real benefit to winning the division. Every team goes into the 3-game set, which is a crapshoot because one pitcher has a bad game. You only have to lose one more game. And Dave Roberts of the Dodgers said that he's really in the next week or so of regular season play, he's really going to focus on getting more guys in more spots and not burning their bullpen or their pitchers. I mean, how disappointing is it for the last 2 weeks of baseball to be almost not worth watching because teams aren't trying to win their division?
Honestly, it's been really disappointing. I personally have not been watching it because it's just, I feel like I'm watching the same thing. Like managers are doing the same thing. Boone keeps doing the same thing. So I don't want to watch someone lose their momentum at around the 3rd or 4th inning when I could be watching a team pick up their momentum at the 3rd or 4th inning and realize that they have the chance to win against their opponent if they pick up the pace or if they throw a different set.
And how important has Clint Frazier been in kind of keeping that lineup together? His fielding is just so much better from last year, and he's really not a replacement for Stanton or Judge, but he's really been able to fill in that gap while they're recovering.
I think he's definitely been in the starting lineup for batting, but I have noticed that they haven't always put him out in the outfield right away. So I think the way he's been playing will definitely be something for Boone to consider next season when they're putting him in, or for even this out season, because he's necessarily been carrying the outfield. Like, he's been making catches that he hasn't made in the past, and he's doing more than he has been. So I think his playing this season has definitely improved and will continue to improve to secure him that spot.
Hannah, thank you so much for joining us today. And everyone, be sure to check back next week for our brand new interview with Alec Palmer, Director of Marketing at Momentum. Thanks for watching. See you next week.
Thank you.